Hi and welcome to the Virgin Wines Wine Basics series, where we teach you how to taste, store and get the very best from the fantastic range of wines we have to offer. In this episode, we're going to be talking the differences between screw caps, the corks, and how you can use that to pick the perfect wine for you. So there are two types of wine enclosures used for storing wine in bottles. There's the traditional, well-known cork, and then there's the most recently adopted metal screw cap. Now, the debate has been raging for a few decades now about which one is best, but let's be honest, we're only interested in how it affects the wine in our glass. So let's take a look at these individually and see how they do just that. Let's start with the oldest of the two, the cork. The cork has been around since the 1400s and is made from the bark of the CORKS suber tree, native to countries like Portugal or Spain, which does come important later on. They are actually very environmentally friendly. The bark itself is harvested every 9 years and doesn't affect the health or longevity of the tree. As you can see, they come in lots of different shapes and sizes, with wine corks generally being made out of whole bark and champagne corks being made out of bound particles. Speaking of which, if you want a fantastic way of opening champagne bottles, don't forget to check out our previous episode of the Wine Basics series, where we teach you how to open champagne like a boss. So apart from being cheap, environmentally friendly and aesthetically pleasing, the biggest pro of the cork is also its biggest fault. The pliable nature of the cork means it can be pushed into bottles and then expand to create a tight seal. But technically that seal isn't airtight. Look at any cork and you'll see the unique gaps and holes, which allow air to pass in and out and touch the wine. This means that the wine can oxidize or age, softening the tannins, making it more approachable and bringing a whole new lease of life. Whereas this is great in theory, you can dry the wines out or age them past their peak drinking window. You also run the risk of tainting the wine, or corking the wine as some people call it. This is where naturally occurring mold within the gaps of the cork react with a cleaning agent and create a compound called TCA. This reacts in turn with the wine and creates a kind of damp, newspapery smell which carries on through the palate. So it is a bit of a gamble that can pay dividends, but can also leave a foul taste in the mouth. Which is where the screw cap comes in. The screw cap was conceived to fight this very problem. Commissioned by Australian winemakers in the early 70s who had a massive issue with corked wine at the time. Over half of their production was being affected, and it led a lot of Australian winemakers to accuse countries like Portugal and Spain, where cork originated from, supplying low-grade cork in order to hinder cheap Australian imports. The caps themselves are pretty straightforward. It's a metal casing with a plastic insert that allows for an airtight seal, which is where these two differ. You will get 0% air touching this wine once it's been screw capped. So the wine itself, it won't age as quickly, but it won't take on as many qualities as it would do in cork. It is exactly how the winemaker intended it to be. This is great for crisp, clean whites or reds that are meant to be drunk young. It's not the prettiest to open in a restaurant, but it means that you're not going to be rolling the dice every time you open the bottle. Unfortunately, in the early 90s, they became synonymous with cheaper grade wine and kind of fell out of favour, but that couldn't be any more wrong in the present and have made a huge resurgence over the last 10-15 years. So how can we use this to find wine that best suits our needs? Well, I've got a few examples here that will help us do just that. If you're like myself and you like crisp white wines like this Kiramura Chardonnay, then you'll want to find something with a screw cap. This keeps the freshness, nice crisp quality to the wine and will help bring the punch of the grapes out. Red wines under screw cap also are great for drinking straight away, like this Black Pig Shiraz. Although the small amount of oxygen in between this cap and the wine when it was produced will bring this mellow finish to the wine over the space of like 5 years. On the other side of the spectrum, we look for corks when we want something that was a little bit more mature or that we want to age. This Di Martino Arenal Cabernet Sauvignon is perfect for that, and it will only get better. The cork inside is going to help this soften out this big bruiser of a wine. Not every wine that does well under aging, but when it does, it pays dividends. For example, this 97 Chateau Larocque Grand Cru, I had the pleasure of opening over Christmas, and it was just beautiful. This is an experience that I wouldn't have necessarily got with screw caps. And with that, we hope we've given you a little bit of information about corks v screw caps. What's your preference? How do you think they affect the wine? We'd love to hear your comments down below. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and please subscribe or follow so you don't miss the next episode of the Wine Basics series. If you want to find out more about the wonderful world of wine, don't forget to visit www.virginwines.co.uk/wine-guide. And with that, we hope to see you in the next episode.